Hey everyone, Ben here, and welcome back to more tales of destruction and woe from the iRacing TCR Challenge. I'm only joking actually, these races this week generally very good. We've got our first race of the week here then. We were in the top split 2.8k strength of field, so unsurprisingly we were towards the back in qualifying. We dropped further back after a poor start, but you'll see we do actually manage to make up a couple of places in this opening lap as we're just a little bit sharper on the apex than the cars up ahead of us who get in a little bit hot there, and that's going to give us the inside line as well into the next right-hander. So just very gentle on this opening lap on cold tyres. The real focus has to be on getting on the apex and getting on the gas down the next straight as early as you can, and we're going to swoop all the way around the outside here and get up into third last position rather than sitting right at the back. We were pretty well the second last rated car in this field. You'll see there a car getting it all wrong into the left-hander. He's rejoining behind us, so we've made up another spot there, and we're coming into the corkscrew for the first time feeling pretty good about life. And then all of a sudden this happens. Bang! Head-on collision somehow with a car that got it wrong, and then very nearly another collision with a car that got it wrong in the second part of the corner, and you'll see we're missing the entire front end of the Honda. This is what it was like from our perspective. So we see a car going off into the barrier on the left hand side. The last thing I expected was to see it again spearing back across the track, and there we are avoiding the second car on the way down the hill. A slightly wider angle on this, and you'll see what happens as the car just gets deflected back into the track by the wall, clearly not holding their brakes through that accident. More collisions up ahead of us gave us some positions back, though amazingly we didn't get the meatball flag, so I was able to keep going despite having lost the front half of the car. Here's a big shunt that happened just up ahead of us though on the very next lap between two drivers vying for position. They managed to take each other out, and a huge collision with the wall once again, both out of the race. Here is another aerial view of it. The car on the right hand side a little bit naughty, just squeezing across the track, and that sent both of them to the shadow realm, and we ultimately profited for another couple of positions. Fast forward right to the end of the race then, and incredibly we were able to reel in the car up ahead of us for 11th position. We're going to dive down the inside here into the very last corner of the final lap. We emerge from the corner side by side, but we're ahead by almost a car's length, and then he rejoins the track. We come together once more. We're into the barrier. Even more remarkably though, we were still able to keep going and cross the finish line for an 11th place finish. See what you think of this. Here's the aerial view. I think we're pretty well clear, but he's clearly on the outside and he's running out of curb, so he rejoins the track, tags us in the rear, and then we go around. In the cockpit, I thought that was kind of a deliberate attempt to take us out, but watching it again, I'm not so sure, and I do sort of reflect that I might have given him a little bit more room to rejoin. But let me know what you think in the comments. Race 2 then, we're on the grid. Thankfully we're in a lower strength of field, 1.5k this time, and we've qualified up in second position. We're waiting for the lights to get going. If you enjoy the video at any time, please do leave a like and get subscribed to the channel. The red lights are on, we're ready to go green, and we are underway, and we've actually got a much better start this time. So we've got a car just up ahead of us, and actually now one getting a better start from alongside us as well. So Miller looks like he's going to take second place from us as we head down into T1. We've got another Honda just squeezing in behind us as well, so nice and cautious here. We know we're on cold tyres and cold brakes. We get pinned to the outside, so we have lost that position. We're down into third place, but again, just got to spot our apexes here, and just as we did in race 1, as long as we're able to get down the inside of this double right-hander here, we can take the position back, and that's exactly what we've done. We're back up into second place, and actually Miller has lost another spot, and it's Ziga who's behind us now. So we've got Svetan up ahead of us, and then Ziga just behind us as we round into the middle sector of this lap. Got to be very concentrated here coming into what is a very tricky corner, undulating down into the uphill section. It's very tricky because if you run wide, you are going right off into the gravel, and if you're not lucky, you're going into the barrier as well and costing yourself huge amounts of time. We're through the corkscrew for the first time then. This time no phantom car emerging from our left-hand side to take us out. So we've had a clean run through there, and now my mission is just to try and stick as close as we can to the guy in first place, who was 7/10 quicker in qualifying. So I'm kind of expecting him to clear off and for it to be a bit of a battle for second position with the cars around us that were much more closely matched in their qualifying laps to us. But look at that, the car up ahead as we come to finish the first lap of the race is weaving a little bit on the start-finish line, so trying to break the tow. But look at that, he's cost himself some speed it seems, because we are closing in rapidly down into T1. We're going to be on the outside, and he's overcooked it. He's managed to get his braking wrong. We're going to duck back underneath him. He's gone wide on the exit, and we are up into first position in this race. I did not expect to be leading this race, despite the fact we had a great qualifying. The guy up ahead I thought was going to be too fast for us, but we've managed to make up into first place. Phenomenal, and now we've got a brilliant chance of winning this race, the final race of the season. Let's take a look back at the start then to just see how that opening couple of laps played out. There's a huge shunt behind us as well, so just as we saw in race 1, some really big accidents in the Touring Car Challenge at Laguna Seca this week. There we go, then you see we just get out wide slightly, not as wide as the car on our outside who ended up into the gravel trap, but we're now going to just try and take advantage of a little bit of street smarts, get down the inside, make sure we hit our apexes. That's the crucial thing at Laguna Seca. You need to be on the apex, and then you can get on the accelerator as quickly as you can and maximise your speed down the next straight. Let's see what happened behind us though with that big shunt, and you'll see a car just going for a space that was never going to be there. I'm not sure the Honda in yellow and blue livery there could do anything about that really. Let's see it from his vantage point. I don't think he closes off the space. I mean, he does sort of turn to the left hand side, but I think he's just taking the racing line. I'm not sure that he can expect a car coming behind him and trying to squeeze through that gap, and all mayhem breaks loose then, and 3 drivers have had their races ruined immediately. End of the first lap then, here's the move that we made to take the lead of this race. I'm not quite sure what happened to Svetan coming down into T1 here, but he's clearly lost some speed, and then he tries to overcompensate on the brakes. That puts him wide through the second part of the opening corner, and then out onto the gravel. He does well to hold it and not run more wide, but he's down into 4th position, and we are up into the lead of this race. And we've now got a great chance of claiming our first win in the series. However, the big challenge is going to be, will Svetan come back through the field? Because we know he's got strong pace. As we see one more time, that move just ducking underneath him. But you'll see he's able to rejoin. He's still going to be in contention in this race because he's rejoined in 4th position. And yes, just a couple of laps later then, we're following him through into the middle section of the lap. We are still out up ahead of Ziga. But now we're going to see Svetan making a move on Miller for 3rd position. He comes through the left-hander here, gets a good run through. He's going to have more pace than Miller coming up into the corkscrew, but will he be able to make a move into the notoriously difficult chicane? Lots of opportunities here to make a mistake, and that's exactly what Miller does. He gets out wide on the exit. That's going to give Svetan his chance around the outside, but he's got to be brave. He doesn't want to run wide either, and what a move. He swoops all the way around the outside, and that is him back up into 3rd position, and he will be hunting down Ziga and myself through the remainder of this race. So I've got to be on my toes and expect a challenge from behind. We rejoin the live action then, just coming up towards the halfway mark of the race, and you'll see less than half a second behind us is Morgan Ziga, and then Svetan another second or so behind him. So the pressure is on here coming into the second half of the race. Any mistake is likely to put us under some pretty big pressure. So just trying to get the car hooked in then into T1 and then get on the gas as early as we can. It looks like we're fairly evenly matched with the driver behind us. So it's going to take a mistake for him to get alongside us, I think. But Svetan is the danger man in this race. We know he was significantly quicker in qualifying. So Really, I'm hoping that Ziga is going to do a job for us and hold him up when eventually Svetan gets onto his rear wing. That's probably the best chance that I've got of holding on to this win, because if Svetan gets up to us, then I'm not sure I'm going to be able to hold him off for too long in this race. We come through the left-hander, then get a decent run up the hill. That's going to give us some breathing space to Ziga behind us. Svetan now less than a second behind me as we come up the hill and into the braking zone, and unfortunately we've gone in a little bit deep. I nearly lose it completely through the corkscrew, but I'm just able to hold on to the car. But that has put Ziga 0.2 seconds behind us, Svetan within half a second as well. So this is a three-way battle for the lead at this point as we come through the right-hander, and I'm just trying to recompose myself as we get towards the end of this lap. Now Ziga's having to defend from Svetan into the final corner of the lap. They're side by side, but Ziga holds on, and thankfully, actually, that has bought us a little bit of time to Ziga behind. But look at how easy it is to make a mistake on this lap here at Laguna Seca, and all of a sudden to be under huge pressure given how tight the front three here are. I can't afford to do that again. Essentially, I'm going to have to try and just recompose myself, as I say, into this lap. But it is funny, I don't know if you guys watching find this, I'm actually feeling the pressure now in the cockpit. The fact that I'm leading the race, I don't have somebody to follow, a target up ahead to aim for. I'm the one who has to set the pace, and I'm finding it difficult into the middle part of this race. I'm starting to feel the pressure of that prospect of getting a first win, and I don't want to throw it away. I know I'm in a fantastic position, as once again we're coming into this left-hander then, and unfortunately we've overcooked it. We've got in too hot. I've made a second mistake out onto the gravel. I managed to get it back onto the road, but look at the pace differential now that Ziga's got. He's going to be all the way alongside us into the corkscrew. We're going to have the inside line. I get the car slowed down, hit the curb. We come together once, we come together again on the exit of the corner, but thankfully we both managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction. Hopefully I gave him enough room there, and it looks like Svetan has taken advantage and he has got past Ziga as we struggle to make the apex of the right-hander there. So my rear gunner, my defensive shield behind Ziga, has now gone, and that's down to me. It was my mistake that then gave Ziga the opportunity to get around our outside, and that compromised him then as I defended through the corkscrew, and Svetan is now going to be putting pressure directly on me into the next lap. As I say, I hope I gave Ziga enough space through the corkscrew. I think it's a risky place to attempt an overtake, but he had such an overspeed on me coming up the hill. I don't suppose he had much choice really but to go for it, because Svetan would have been right on his rear wing as well. So luckily we both managed to survive intact. I tried to give him as much space as I could while holding my line, but very tricky part of the track to defend. But meanwhile I've got much bigger problems, because look in my rear view mirror, I'm going to have to take a defensive line into the left-hander here. We managed to make the apex, but that is going to compromise me on the exit of the corner, and Svetan is going to go for it. He's down my inside. This is not a corner you want to go too wide on, so I have to get out of the gas. I do not want to get punted off into the gravel on the right hand side, but that has given me a very slow exit. Once again Ziga is now attacking from behind. He's going to be alongside once again into the braking zone. Once more we have to come to the inside, but this time he thinks better of it, and actually Everson is now attacking him from behind. We managed to hold station in second place, but unfortunately we've lost the lead of the race with just a third of the race distance left to go. We led for 5 laps of the race, but we couldn't hold on under pressure from the 2 cars behind us. Big mistakes. Let's take a look back then at the biggest one as we ran wide out onto the gravel. This is what's ultimately going to cost Ziga position to Svetan behind us. We were able to hold off the Honda driver on our outside though. Let's just see how we both came together. Oh, we did give him a bit of a shove, but then he gives us a bit of a shove as he rejoins through the second part of the corner. We'll take another look at it, but just before we do, you can see Svetan taking advantage of that move and getting past Ziga on the next corner. Here's an aerial view then. You'll see us completely miss the apex of the left-hander, get out onto the gravel, just 2 tyres, but that's all that was necessary to give the 2 cars behind us huge overspeed up the hill. You can see Ziga coming into the braking zone then. Oh, it's very tight, but we definitely forced him a little bit wide there and off the track, and then when he rejoined, he did barge back into us. I think probably on balance fair enough, but let me know in the comments what you think, if there's something I could have done differently there, as once again we see Svetan come on past. Here's the chopper cam just one more time to give us another view of this, because it is a very tight incident. I think it's a racing incident, you know it's a risky place to pass, it's just the nature of this circuit. I try to get the car slowed down, inevitably we do come together. I'm just relieved really that we both ended up pointing in the right direction. I think it's probably a testament to both of us that we were able to do that. Unfortunately for Ziga though, he lost out big time as he then drops back down into third position. Here's the move then for the lead of the race. You can see Svetan has got overspeed on us coming down into the left hand here, so I have to go defensive. I'm able to hold the apex there, but unfortunately that compromises our exit. He's got a much better exit than we do. I don't want to go side by side through this corner. I've seen in other races that usually ends up with one or both cars in the gravel, but that does compromise us once again up the hill. So Ziga's going to have another go around our outside. You can see we're neck and neck into the braking zone, but he thinks better of trying to go too wide through the corner one last time. Let's see it from the aerial view then. We'll get a better vantage point of it here. He does back out much earlier. Actually, it looks like he loses it under braking. More than anything, you can see the car sort of squirms off to the right hand side, so we get away with one there because he might well have attempted to get around my outside once again. Unfortunately, we couldn't do much about Svetan up ahead. The last couple of laps, he just managed to gap us, just as we managed to gap Ziga behind us, so we've got a pretty comfortable gap back to third place ourselves. So we're going to come across the start-finish line then for the final race of the TCR Challenge in second position. So a great finish for us. It's going to be 90 championship points, which is our highest haul of the season, I think. Here's the full classified results. Really happy with this as a final race of the season. It's a brilliant combination, providing you can survive the carnage that has gone on through the races I've had this week. And this right here is the biggest example. You wondered where my thumbnail picture was from. It's from that incident in the background. Let's take a final look then at this. I didn't notice it until I was recording replay footage for the race, but this is the final lap, coming into the final corners for position for 4th and 5th on track. And look at the huge shunt that plays out here between the two cars as we're coming into the final corner, and the Gulf liveried Honda has got absolutely no right, in my view, to be sticking his nose in there. The Halford livery car had basically picked the inside line. There is no room down the inside at that point, and he has absolutely punted him into the pit wall, and that is a huge accident. So an unfortunate one to finish the season. There has not been that much of that kind of racing over the course of the 8 races that we've done so far in the championship. Lime Rock Park, Laguna Seca, probably the worst examples for it, but overall I've really enjoyed this season, and I'm looking forward to next season as well. I hope you have. If you have, leave a like, get subscribed, and I will see you on the next one.